Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. We're going to break from the politics that we've been discussing for the last few weeks to take a look at a really important issue that's come to the forefront ever since the Health Minister, Dr. Ramadoss, said that homosexuality should be decriminalized, it should be made legal. Many people might not even be aware of it. There is a section 377, which in a sense makes homosexuality illegal. Should that be the way, or should that be reversed? Should we follow the path that country after country seems to be taking? That's a subject that we are going to be discussing at some length today, and I think we again have assembled here most of the voices who have really been taking a look at. I'm going to start by welcoming onto the program Mr. Anand Grover, who's a lawyer who's been, in a sense, fighting this case in the court for a while. And facing him, Mr. B.P. Singhal, who's been fighting against him in court, or at least your lawyer has. So we're not going to discuss the case itself as sub judice, but you know, we'll get your views out here from all of us. We have Ashok Rao Kavi, who's been chairperson of the Humsafar Trust of Mumbai. He was the editor of Bombay Dost and has been talking about gay rights for quite some time. It's great to have you with us on the program. We have Reverend Dominic Emmanuel, spokesperson of the Delhi Catholic Archdiocese. So it's great to have you with us. You I know have some strong views on the subject. And then sitting there in the experts' chairs, it gives me great pleasure to welcome an old friend of ours, Mahesh Dattani, who's done, what, 12 plays by now on the issue of homosexuality. And Dr. Aruna Bruta, clinical psychologist, has studied, in a sense, this entire question, and particularly the claim that is made that homosexuality is in some way a mental disease. So we'll be asking you about all of that. I'm going to again start with you. This is a case that is being fought in court, in a sense, without wanting to go into the merits or the demerits of the case. Why should it be decriminalized, homosexuality?
Well, Vikram, you know, this law was brought in by the British, and what it says is that any person who voluntarily has what is called carnal intercourse, that means sex, with a man, woman or an animal, against the order of nature, is punishable for imprisonment for 10 years or for life. So a person having private sexual relationships can be punished and imprisoned for. It's applicable against all, not against homosexuals alone, even heterosexuals. But obviously, because homosexuals are stigmatized in the society, they are the ones who are targeted by the police. Now, the British who brought this law in this country in the 19th century, because they had a particular view of what sex should be, because the phrase says against the order of nature. What does that mean?
First of all, we have to define what the order of nature is.
The courts have defined it to say if it's penile, non-vaginal, which doesn't beget children. Okay. So if you have sex, if I have sex with a woman also, or a man, which doesn't result in children, then I cannot do that.
Point one to note is that this law is not just about against homosexuals. It can actually apply to many people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just one point. The British who brought this law in a situation and a culture which did not criminalize any private sexual relations have done away with it in the 1970s. But we carry on as if it is our culture. It's about time, because it's our right to decide what we should do. Okay. And it's about time that we actually get rid of this law.
It is a false notion to believe that the British brought this law. Manusmriti prescribes a very harsh punishments for homosexuality. So it's as ancient as that. Why blame the British? It is an unnatural act. It is an immoral act. And hence it has to be condemned. And if it has been brought on the statute book,
look, I'm just horrified, Vikram, because the Manusmriti doesn't have harsh laws. The law in the Manusmriti, I hope he knows the Manusmriti, I do. The point is, the law there says a cold water bath.
Yes.
I don't think that's a very harsh.
No, it is
a punishment for homosexuality is a cold water bath.
No, that is wrong.
Amongst other things,
amongst other things, for example, if you have sex in a bullock cart, huh?
You have a cold water bath for that also.
Cold water bath for that.
Drive the bullock cart into a river.
If that a harsh punishment, I don't mind it. You know,
no, but it is punishable. It is not considered normal sexual.
Yes, I suppose it's considered normal to have sex with an 8-year-old girl. That I suppose is okay.
Okay, one thing, we have to now, let me just come back to it. Manusmriti is fine, but actually if you look at what's happened with Indian culture subsequently, I mean, this law was introduced by the British.
No, of course that. But it was equally an offence, even in our own culture. You see,
actually, if you go to Khajuraho, the things which you see on Khajuraho, you would be amazed. It's not. I mean, I don't know what is unnatural according to that. We're talking about talking about men, women,
Vikram,
animals.
Khajuraho and Indian culture did not recognize that as unnatural. That's the whole point I'm making.
No.
And Mr. Shingal should read Manusmriti again. Ashok Rao Kavi is right. We have reproduced the sections which actually say it includes, amongst other things, cold water bath. It's not a harsh punishment.
But cold water baths are what's prescribed to in boarding schools and for kids who are too young.
To heat
so you're back to the Manusmriti there.
But to say that the British introduced, therefore it is meaningless, is also not an argument, because the British introduced so many laws. The British introduced so many things, and they did because they were here. So to say that because the British have changed and because, I mean, that particular argument, no, I mean, you began with that. You began with that.
Away with it.
I mean, that's not logical.
No, but the point which is being made, I think, out here is, and let's start raising each of the questions that have come up. Point that is being made here, this is a law which is 150 years old. I think it's time that we started looking at laws that are 150 years old. Perhaps they don't make sense anymore.
So
why not?
Adoption.
They do make sense.
It's about adoption.
Absolutely. Let's look at all the laws. Any law that was passed 100 years ago, by definition, you should look at.
There's a law that says...
They are in tune with our culture.
Oh my God.
That is the big
So this law is in tune with culture.
Absolutely, because in 2000, there was a survey done of 41 countries that should homosexuality be acceptable in society. That survey was done in 41 countries, and India, the figures are 7% for and 63% against, Baki neutral the. So 7% are the only ones who have said, yes, it may be done. It's positively overwhelmingly against the culture and the ethos of this country.
Even if 80% say that they are against it, a person who is a homosexual has a right to live in society.
Let me get you in.
Now, what kind of a right? No, what kind of a right is there without a responsibility?
As long as
what
I
is the
don't
consequent responsibility they hope to fulfill?
This is
by
such a
getting this right.
homophobic and intolerant attitude. As long as I don't stamp on your rights, you have no business to stamp on mine. I don't understand this logic.
Can I just say, before you even bring in the law, please ask a psychologist what is natural. That is what you need to ask before you even decide what is natural.
I'm going to ask you just that question in a minute, but Mahesh, let me get you in at this point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think any law that is anti-human stems from ignorance. So I think we're talking about education, whether it was the British or whether it was Manu. We can't assume that they had it all right. I mean, they had their areas of blindness and ignorance. And I think any progressive society is looking towards light, towards enlightenment.
Would you marry your daughter to a known homosexual?
No, I would not.
There you are.
I don't think
that's
homosexual
the point. That
But he misses the point entirely.
Whether he would